Hey, yo, what's up, YouTube, man? It's your boy, Ashton Jackson. In today's video, we're going to be further discussing the Odighizuwa trade to the 49ers, and the Dallas Cowboys got back a third round pick. I will talk about why I feel like that was a mistake by the Dallas Cowboys and further discussion. So before we hop to the video, I would appreciate if you guys would like the video, subscribe if you're new, comment, and share my video with anyone who you think will enjoy my content. So hopping straight into it, man. The Dallas Cowboys traded away Odighizuwa. First, let's talk about the man. Really great teammate from what it looks like on the outside, and you hear a lot of people talk about Odighizuwa as a leader, and just a really great person in which that he is in the Dallas Cowboys locker room. You have a bunch of writers that can vouch for him and his great character that he has. He was the main one. Him and Solomon Thomas, they both got traded crazy on the same day, but it's also was the main person really flying out the Marshawn Kneeling flag and paying respects to him and everything like that. So Odighizuwa was a great man, and then also him and his agent did the Dallas Cowboys a real solid by not going after and getting big market money. That's why it's important for these agents and these players to get as much money as you can possible, because Odighizuwa took a hometown discount to come back and play, and the team got rid of him within a year. But it sucks because he got caught up in the wash. He got caught up in the mix of things going on with this organization, where you come in 2021 with a whole new defensive staff. Dan Quinn looked at you a certain way. Dan Quinn's here all the way up until 2023. You get a new DC in Zimmer. You get another new DC in Eberflus, and then now you have another new DC and Christian Parker, and he just wasn't part of the scheme fit. So I think that's life in the NFL, unfortunately. And then also I understand that the Dallas Cowboys, they didn't want to keep a $20 million player rotationally playing on the bench. They would rather pay that person a couple $100,000 like on a rookie contract, or pay a veteran like Vetman to go do that. But then another thing that explains about that, the problem and the main issue with the Dallas Cowboys, is that if you find defensive coordinators that fit what you want to do defensively, like the team you traded him to, they do a damn good job with that. I can't stand them. I have a very low tolerance when it comes to Niners and Eagle fans and the organizations. But what the 49ers do really well, when Robert Saleh leaves, they got DeMeco Ryans. DeMeco Ryans leaves, they bring in Steve Wilkes. Like they have a revolving door of guys that can come in and relay their scheme, and you never see a drop off from their great players year to year. And I feel like if the Dallas Cowboys would have done that, maybe they would have kept Odighizuwa. But hey, I'm not going to complain when you got two better defensive tackles in Quentin Williams and Kenny Clark. Now, you traded him for a third round pick. Odighizuwa himself was a third round pick in the 2021 draft class. And if you look at that draft class, you got Osa, Chauncey, Nashawn Wright, all drafted in the third round. They're not here. Then you look at it in 2022, you drafted Jalen Tolbert. He might be back on a one-year deal, similar to what you got Sam Williams with, but Jalen Tolbert wasn't an impact player, and that was a third-round pick. You look at it in 2023, you look at DeMarvin Overshown, solid player, but he hasn't been healthy enough for him to be considered an impact player. And then you look at it in 2024, I believe the third-round pick, Kareem was a solid pickup, but that's offensive line, and people complain about us drafting offensive lineman high. So, but you got Maris Leofau. Maris Leofau has to now change his position, right? And more times than not, when he come in at the league, playing a couple of years at a certain position, and then now you come in with a new DC, and they're trying to find ways to get you on the field, and they change your position. That's not really good. And then last year's third round pick was Savon Revel. I have high hopes for him, but there's no guarantee that he can come out and do anything. You know what I mean? Like, I had a first round grade on him, but if he doesn't show that, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? So same thing goes with this now third round pick. The things that I didn't really like about the pick is I felt like you got worse on defense, but especially on your interior defensive line depth. That's why I really liked Odighizuwa on the team, because I was like, hey, his new role, he can just be a guy that comes in, he can spell Kenny Clark or Quentin Williams or anything like that, because now you're a bruised rib, a stub toe away from a player, from like Kenny Clark not playing, and then who is your backup three going to be? You know what I mean? So I felt like you had plenty full of threes, but that now I have a problem with the depth. Getting rid of Solomon Thomas makes sense that why you trade him to the Titans, because you got Robert Saleh ties, Aaron Wycon ties. That all makes sense. And then also what you're also going to have is you trade him to a team that you play every other year. in a team that, if you want to get over the hump finally, you're gonna have to play that team one way or another. You have to get through them. So, and they're typically a team that dominates you and overwhelms you on the defense side of the football. So I didn't like that trade either. And then you traded him to the 49ers, and they made the playoffs with a banging up roster. They played a third place schedule and went, and they won a playoff game, and now they pick damn near in the fourth round, because pick 92 is towards the bottom of the third round. It's damn near a compensatory third that you really got for him. I heard that the Cincinnati Bengals were a possible team in play to get that pick. I don't see as to why you just didn't. Again, things happen for a reason. Maybe they had interest from other teams, but like, for example, Cincinnati's third round pick, if we're looking at Tankathon, you could have got the 72nd pick. That's 20 more places higher up in the third round, and you could have possibly got you an even better player than what you can possibly get at 92. But that's what the draft is overall. The draft, all it is like a lottery. You're not guaranteed a chance to get a really good player. It does not necessarily mean you'll get a great player, because you just hear all the third round picks we just listed in the past 5 to 6 years. Which of those players have been an impact player and have been, outside of offensive linemen, what other defensive player that we drafted in the third round that has been a major impact player outside of Odighizuwa in 2021? So again, I'm not going to sit up here and cape and act like he was this all-world player, because there were times when he would try to play hero ball in the run game. There was plenty of times he was part of a historical bad defense, and he wasn't a player that was tremendously great. But then also the Dallas Cowboys didn't do him any favors by not getting him a real running mate to help alleviate and spell him when it came down to it. He was always the main guy in the room, and it took a very long time for the Dallas Cowboys to finally get somebody next to him. When they got Kenny Clark, we liked Osa, right? But then we really loved Osa once we had Quentin Williams, a guy who can space seat, who can generate pressure himself and demand double and triple teams sometimes. So it sucks. It is what it is. It's part of the business, unfortunately. But the Dallas Cowboys they're gonna have to either flip this pick. They have to flip the pick either which way. Either flip it and draft it and have a damn good impact player, or you're gonna have to flip that third round pick to go get maybe a Jonathan Grenard from Minnesota, or trade for a really decent pass rusher, or a linebacker, or a safety, whatever the case might be. Or a corner. The Dallas Cowboys have a lot of things that they still need to do. Free agency, technically today's the second day of free agency, so the Dallas Cowboys are going to have to do something big to fix their issues. So that's about it for the video. Hopefully you guys have a nice day. Stay safe, stay blessed. Bye.